One of my client had her H1B stamping. She got the date in November last year, but she was thinking कि यार New Year पे India जाना ही है, maybe I should get stamping done back then. We had a chat and luckily she decided to go ahead with the November stamping date. She got her H1B stamping done. She got back to US, and then this major news came out, because imagine if she had delayed her H1B stamping to December, she would have been stuck till 2027 now, because a very important H1B news came out recently, and that is US government have put social media checks for H1B visa stamping, which have delayed all the H1B stamping appointments in India to 2027. There are no H1B appointment slots available in India for whole of 2026. And the second news that I want to talk about is the state of Texas announced something. So Texas has stopped state agencies from filing new H1B visa applications. So effectively, Trump is again tightening the H1B policies and making it difficult for foreign workers to work in US. These two news items were shared widely on the social media. There's a lot of panic around it. In today's video, I want to clarify what these does not mean. So how does it impact you, but also what it does not mean, so that you don't panic unnecessarily. I'm going to clear 5 myths around these two news items on the other side of the intro. Keep watching. Welcome back to the channel. It's tricky to be an Indian student these days because your options of higher education and global work are kind of tightening. But anyways, these two major H1B news items are creating a lot of panic in the student community. So I want to clarify 5 myths, what this does not mean. And the first myth is that you can't work in Texas anymore. People are thinking that there will be no H1B jobs in Texas anymore, which is not true, okay? And the panic, I can understand why. Because in Austin, you have so many tech headquarters and big tech offices, and they hire a lot of international students. People are thinking कि अब Austin में you cannot work anymore, which is not true. The truth is कि Texas has banned H1B hiring at public institutes only. I mean, government cannot control what Google office in Austin does, right? But they can control who can be hired by University of Texas at Austin. Okay, so what this actually means is that you can still work at Google office, Apple office, Tesla office, Oracle, Dell, these kind of offices in Texas. They are not covered in this law. And secondly, they are not covered by this update. But you cannot work at a H1B position sponsored directly by UT Austin, TAMU, hospitals in Texas, public schools, etc. So if you understand it, then this clearly impacts only the H1B cap exempt jobs within Texas. So as you know, universities, hospitals, research agencies, public funded ones, they hire international people on H1B, but these H1B are cap exempt H1B visas. They do not go through lottery. So those institutes cannot do that in Texas anymore. So unless you were looking for a cap exempt H1B visa job in Texas, you are not impacted by this. You can work for private companies, MNCs, or other institutes in Texas as before. This does not impact you. Second myth is that visa stamping is cancelled forever. No, it's not cancelled forever. So what has happened is, if you remember, they introduced the social media vetting for student visas last year. In December of 2025, they decided to do the social media vetting for H1B visa interviews as well. So once this news came out, they again have to upgrade their system and make it ready for social media vetting. And because there are so many H1B applicants in India, it started impacting a lot of people. The backlog got built up to the extent that now in India, there is no single H1B appointment available in whole of 2026. It is now available in 2027. However, this is a temporary postponement. It's not a freeze or cancellation. Next slots will be available in next quarter of 2027, and hopefully as they sort out the system, maybe even earlier. And emergency appointments are available in some cases. So this is not a shutdown. Other categories of visa stamping anyways continue. So anybody going for student visas, B1, B2 visas, L1 visa, etc. are not impacted by this news at all. Third myth, and this is a dangerous one, many people are thinking that we should not go and study at Texas anymore. So even if you have an admit at UT Austin, and some people are thinking, oh, maybe I should take the offer from California University and not go here. Please don't think it like that, because it does not impact you. It does not impact any student going to study at Texas anyhow, because you go on student visa F1, not impacted. When you work there for internship, you do that on CPT, not impacted. When you graduate, start working full time, you do that on OPT, again not impacted. So as I explained, the Texas news applies only to the H1B visa sponsored by universities, public hospitals, research institutes, etc. If you're just going to study there, even if you want to get a TARA-ship, that happens on your student visa. It has nothing to do with H1B. Now, whether you should go to California, Boston, or Texas is a different question. I'm not talking about that. But if you had a great admit from UT Austin, don't let this news impact you mentally. Don't think that you should avoid going to Texas just because of this news. UT Austin is amazing. If you have an admit, please go there. Fourth myth is that if you leave US, you can never come back. Again, not true. So what happens is that even for the Indians who are stuck in India right now waiting for H1B stamping, right? Your status is still legal. You are on H1B visa as long as the company keeps you hired. Now, many companies, how they are dealing with this news, because many big tech employees are stuck in India right now. So I read that Amazon is allowing those people to continue to work remotely from India until their visa issue is sorted out. So you are still on legal status. However, what you cannot do is you cannot re-enter US unless your stamping is done. But you can keep working outside US on your current H1B visa. It is not impacted like that. And fifth myth is that companies are not hiring anymore. There won't be any more H1B visas in the US. That is, of course, not true. We have seen changes to the H1B system. I did a full video on the new H1B wage-based selection process that is going live in March 2026. So companies continue to sponsor H1B visas. People will continue applying for them. All that is not impacted. Only places that will not sponsor H1B right now, according to these news items, is state institutes, public places in the state of Texas. Everything else is as open as it was before. So big tech companies, all other companies that used to hire for H1B, continue to hire for H1B. So that is what I wanted to clarify in this video. Of course, if you are impacted, if you're somebody stuck in India right now, I do have empathy with you, because I know some of those people. There's always an anxiety that, like, if company fires you remotely now while you're in India, then yes, then you are stuck here, and that's not a good place to be. But if you were a good employee and company wants to retain you, they will continue to do that. The government cannot pressurize them. So, however, those were the myths. But what is definitely happening, and how I read all these news items, is first is US immigration is tightening. It's the writing on the wall. All these tactics are done by the Trump government to just, like, screw the nuts and bolts here on there on basic immigration and not letting more foreign workers come to US. Second is state level actions are spreading. So this is just an indication of how the government can use the state institutes to again further their anti-immigrant policy. State of Texas makes sense for Trump, but there could be other states following suit. So this does put a question mark on the future and longevity of H1B cap exempt visas, I think, because they are state sponsored. So there might be, like, fewer positions available for the cap exempt roles. So anybody who's dependent on that, just be cautious. Third is visa backlogs are real. I mean, always we have seen that getting a US visa appointment in India had always been tough, but it's getting very tight and delayed, as we saw in 2025. So if you are dependent on a US visa, you have to keep extra time for yourself to be able to do that. And fourth is, as I said, political climate matters a lot. Whether India is on good terms with US or not will keep determining a lot of these policies. So keep an eye out on what's happening on the geopolitical news channels, what is happening on the macroeconomic front, how the economies are doing, how the countries are responding with trade policies with each other. And we just heard a news that India, US are signing a new trade deal, which hopefully will make them more lenient on some of these immigration policies. So we will see. But it's all very complicated and much more bigger picture than what we can see right now. But I hope this video gives you some insight on how to read these two news items and not panic if you're not impacted. Let me know if I've missed anything in the comments. I will see you guys with a fresh new video next week. Until then, take care. Bye bye.